Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are on Monday, December 9th. We're going to take a look at DraftKings today. So DraftKings pulling back a little bit, and I'm quite curious to see what it does with these levels. Now, it has wrestled right in this range a lot relatively recently, and if you scroll left, it has done a lot of wrestling in this range previously, sort of after a previous large sell-off. All right, all the way down here. Well into the teens, and then like quite a struggle, and then finally had some motion up in there, but couldn't hold it and sold off all the way back down under 30, and that was in August of 2024, so relatively recently. So that's just to say, last time it was in this range, it had a really hard time holding it, so I'm pretty interested to see how it handles it this time. Now, the levels as I see it, we might as well zoom in to the intraday chart here and just see how it's been reacting the last few days off of the levels. So coming in here, at about 44, dipped down below 43.56, that level that we have on the chart, quickly regained it, pushed off of it, made another attempt up at 44.79, was able to push through all the way to this 45.62 level that we have on the chart, and sort of double topped there between opening on this day and opening on the following day. And since then, it sort of has had a slow bleed, or I guess not that slow. It has had a bleed down from 45.62. It relatively quickly lost this 44.79 level, and then today came in at, by the time open came, it was already coming in at this 43.56 level, dipped down nearish to 42.29, but certainly didn't put a test in of it. Kind of stabilized here around sort of the mid 42s, right, about 42.50, and then made another attempt late in the day at 43.56, but it didn't have the oomph to get through it, and so pushed right back down toward that 42.50 again. So right now 42.50 holding above the 42.29 level that I have on the chart, but for all intents and purposes, the last few days at least, first having a hard time getting through 45.62 where it double topped, and then just no luck holding that 44.79, and then another essentially double top on this 43.56 on the intraday look at least. So we'll see, but it is situated right where it last swung and then came down through, and was able to sustain just over this 42.29 and then push to that 45.87. So we'll see if it's able to hold this 42.29 level at the moment. If it doesn't, the next one that I have down is 40.43. But certainly there's, developed a bit of price action, probably right around here. I'm not going to leave this on, but I'll just put it here and then I'll get rid of it. But probably, if I would end up putting the level in, it would be right about there, 41.40. So for purposes of not cluttering the chart too much, I'm going to pop that off for now. But if it does get down there, that one, sort of makes sense to me as things stand. Now, if we get rid of this, take a look at the EMA side of things. Now, this has it dipping down toward the 21 EMA, this sort of peach-colored one. Previously it dipped down, it wicked off of it. That's what we see right here. That's when it was pretty tight into the 34. If it comes down to the 34, this red EMA, and tests that, that's right at that 41.48 level right now. So very close to the level that I just called out as a potential support level if it does lose this this like mid 42 range. But it is situated well above the 183 EMA. So to me, for all intents and purposes, it's still showing this bullish formation, but it is getting, just get rid of this, it is getting pretty top heavy, right? If we zoom out to the weekly, you see where it's situated. It had this huge boom all the way up, but this, I try not to take those like too seriously in the long run, because then it's just had a steep fall off, like we said, down here toward 10, and now the claw back into the 40s, dip down here in just below 30 like we had mentioned, but it's coming back up into this same range where it's just had a hard time pushing through, and that is right where this sell-off, right, when it pushed up here initially towards 75, and then it had this crazy sell-off. It was right in this range, right? That's where that sort of gave way, and then you just had sell-off all the way down to 977 here, but that's really where it accelerated. So something maybe interesting to just keep in mind, keep an eye on, whatever. The volume will also sort of bear this out. Sorry if I just nauseated everyone. But if we zoom in from this recent push, right, from this 1069 all the way up through here, you see how thin the volume gets up here, but you do have a nice shelf here around 37.91, so not that far from where sort of these EMAs are situated at the moment, like this 34 EMA that we talked about at 38.90, hovering just above that volume shelf. And if it does continue to put in some price action up here, it'll drag that 183 up there as well in the near future. But you see where this volume is sort of situated at the moment. So as the volume sort of gets a little bit thinner up here especially, right, like that approach to 45 gets quite thin. And so the question is, either when does that volume come in, and when it does come in, or if it does come in, you know, is that sort of the sustained push needed to get it through that range and start to tackle some of these approaches toward like 50 that we have, and then 55.87 up here, so on and so forth. Now, on the think or swim side of things, it's actually quite an interesting look here. You see, the last several months, so it came in here, this is the month of August, came in and it sort of fell right below the put trigger, and then it went the full -1 ATR all the way down to that 2869, clawed back, got into September, got itself above the call trigger, and came either right to or sort of, oops, forgot which platform I was on here, or sort of, yeah, just a pinch shy of that +1 ATR, right? So full -1 ATR, and then the subsequent month +1 ATR. And then in October, it was sort of a pretty snoozy month. It was less action-packed. But then in November, it came in mid-range ATR, so the base ATR, hit the call trigger, and went straight up full +1 ATR, no holds barred. And it did it pretty quickly, right? Sort of before even the mid-month. And then kind of wrestled with that into the December levels. So right now it's thrown a double rejection off of the call trigger, moving down, not yet even to the put trigger to see if it acts as support, but sort of headed in that direction. But we'll see if it does get through this call trigger. Right now it's situated at 45.54. If it does hit the +1 ATR, that would put it at 51.67. If it does slip below this put trigger, that's at 41.76 right now. And if it does run the full gamut of the -1, that puts it to 35.63. But it is base ATR right now, which is, you know, about where it came in October, where it had that relatively snoozy month, kind of got pinned, but it didn't even have as much action as we're seeing currently. So, you know, I don't know that it will be a snoozy month as it was in October, but it is coming in at that mid-range for the time being. So sort of interesting there. To me, nothing else in terms of the phase oscillator or the TTM squeeze indicator is as interesting as checking out where those ATR levels could be, given that the last several months, more often than not, when it has run through a trigger, it has expressed the full +1 or -1 ATR, depending which direction it was going. All right, folks, so I hope that your trading week is off to a good start. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.